2023 70.3 Ironman Washington. Today we are going to dive into some race details, some things that you need to know before and during your race. This is our athlete guide that has been posted. Make sure that you do read it on your own when you do have the time. I'm going to jump through some of these specifics here. If you do watch this video, you like what you see, please reach out, like, subscribe, share. And if you do need any coaching advice, please reach out to me. Friday, September 15th, the event schedule is located on page 4 is when the date starts for all of our fun festivities. 2 p.m. is when everything really kicks off. Athlete check-in is available on that Friday, 2:30 to 7. And our athlete briefings are at 4 and 6. Saturday, September 16th, athlete check-in and all-world priority starts at noon. Ironman Village is open, and mandatory bike check-in and timing chip pickup happens at 10 o'clock to 4:30 p.m. We have 3 athlete briefings happening at 11, 1, and 3. You will also pick up your timing chip at bike check-in, not at athlete check-in. So just be aware of that if this is your first Ironman this year. Sunday, race day, shuttle parking lots open 4 to 6 a.m. Transition opens an hour later at 5, closes at 6:45. Age group rolling race start happens at 7 a.m. and everything happens after that. Mandatory bike and gear checkout 1:45 to 5. Award ceremony happens at 4 p.m. Almost all of that is at Lake Wilderness Park leading up to the race. Also for shuttles, Ironman Village parking, there is a couple of addresses listed here. Make sure that you do that. Athlete check-in, page 5. When, where, and what to bring are all listed there. We just went over it as well. Photo ID or passport active QR registration code are the 2 main items you need to be bringing to athlete check-in. Once you're there, you will pick up a couple of things like your athlete wristband, also your bike stickers. They will go on your frame, your helmet, and your stem. You'll also be getting 5 gear bags and associated in addition with that you will take your stickers and put on, please, so you do not get lost in all the shuffle. Pre-race info located on page 7. Physical address is listed here. Pre-race parking information also listed here. Mandatory bike check-in where you will pick up your timing chip is located there. All bikes must be left Saturday and left overnight. And bicycles will not be permitted to enter the transition area on race morning. Full bike covers are not allowed to leave overnight. You will have access to your bike beginning at 5 a.m. on race day, but you will not be able to remove it from the transition area until the start of the bike. Mandatory athlete briefings will be held beforehand, so make sure you head to one of those to check out any last minute changes to the course or anything like that. Swimming before the event is allowed. Just make sure that you are swimming in a safe place. If you do have someone to swim with, please swim with them. Just be very careful leading up to it. That is listed on page 7 of our athlete guide. Page 8, race day info, pre-race morning procedure where your transition opens at 5, listed on the next page, page 8. Remember to bring your timing chip, wetsuit, swim cap, race morning, body marking. Athletes will not need to body mark for this race. Timing chip will not be in your packet, and you must stop at the timing table at bike check-in prior to race day to pick up your timing chip. It's pretty foolproof. They will not let you leave without the chip, so just make sure you do that the day before the race when you drop off your bike. Race day parking information is also listed here. Aid stations are approximately every 15 miles on the bike and about 1 mile apart on the run. On the bike, we got water, Gatorade, Red Bull, Morton gels, the regular and caffeinated bars, bananas. The run, we have water, Gatorade again, Red Bull, cola, gels, bars, chips, pretzels, all the good stuff. Also, if you do want to track an athlete, Ironman Tracker app is the best. Race day info extended is on page 10. Here we talk about cutoffs. We also talk about wetsuit optional races and things to be aware of there. Race finish and timing results also listed here as well. Did not start, disqualified, did not finish, not classified, all listed for you there. Relay info is located on page 12. Post-race info located on 13. And qualifying is located on 15. If we do go all the way back up to our athlete check-in, our athlete events thing, it lists 4 p.m. as the time that the awards happen. So, with that being said, here is the course, and let's dive into some nitty-gritty details. This is a one-loop swim course in a lake, and this is a rolling swim start. You will self-seed into corrals based off of your theoretical time that you think you can achieve. All right, each athlete will be allotted an hour and 10 minutes to complete the course once they start their swim. Also, once you start, you will have the traditional 8 hours and 30 minutes to complete the entire event, which is, of course, subject to intermittent cutoff times throughout the event. All right, so go back to your cutoff page, and it will list specific places for your cutoffs and times that you have to be there if you are pushing the bubble. So, our race is starting at this area right through here. Even though we are going to be in corrals, this whole first section right here, swimming into the sun, is going to be very, very hectic. The point that is going to be the most contested out on course is this first right-hand turn buoy that we have to have our buoys on the right-hand side of us. Just be ready to battle pretty much until this second sighting buoy. That's going to be where things start to kind of level out. That's where people are going to start to spread out, find their people. They're going to start to swim their pace. What you need to be doing is just be ready to rock and roll from the get-go. Once you get to about this point in time, if you don't find that you are with a group, you need to get on it. You need to find a group and have them pull you along for the majority of this whole back section right here. That would be in a perfect world. If you are unable to find a group that can help you do that, just swim your pace right here and know that this is not a straight line, believe it or not. Okay, it's hard to tell. So this second to last sighting buoy might be a little bit into that straight line, so you might get pinched in that area depending on what happens on race day. It could be straight line, but just as it's drawn right now, it is not. Once we get to the bottom of our course right through here, when we do make this turn is going to bottleneck a little bit right through here, but you should be spread out enough so it will not be a problem. Major problem out on course for a lot of athletes is this section right through here, and also this section within that section right there. First thing that we need to take note of is we have two turn buoys back to back. We also have a third buoy that you have to keep on the right hand side. So this area should be viewed as a little goal or corral that you have to swim in between, like you are on a boat, right, between the buoys. That also continues for the later buoys later on, but we'll talk about that in a second. This area right through here is going to be a point at which athletes take this right-hand turn. Some people are going to stop, so naturally they're going to start to get in the way of you. Remember, this is just two right turns. Don't overthink it. And if you are aware of what's coming when you are swimming this stretch right through here, you should be able to at least sight this buoy over here and figure out where it is, just a little bit, all right? Because when you get to this buoy, you know where this is kind of in space, so you can swim directly to it, and there's no need to stop. So you're going to have a lot of athletes stopping right at this turn, and you're also going to have a lot of athletes stopping right here. So if you wanted to jump some places, this is an easy place to do that. Once you do make this turn right through here, this is an easy course-cutting maneuver right through here that is totally legal, but again, there might be kayakers and other lifeguards pushing you further in. So the shortest line here is obviously from this turn to this buoy, just like that. And then when we make the straightaway right through there. What is going to happen here is athletes are going to be swimming in a zigzag pattern just naturally as you get up here, and this is going to be an easy place for you to add swim distance to your swim. Please, please, please try your best to avoid that. And remember, swimming the straightest line possible will naturally save you time. All right. Once we get through this little corral over here, which is the second one out on course as is depicted, this is an easy area and opportunity to leapfrog a lot of people, and you need to be careful when you do that, but at this course, this is going to be a viable place for you to do that, believe it or not. Most places, you just want to ease back, get your form right, get everything ready to rock and roll for the bike, but on here, you can actually continue pushing a little bit closer to this finish line here. Once you make this corral again, Uh, the fastest way is going to be a straight line. When you do get here, there are going to be a lot of athletes continuously doing that zigzag pattern over here. Try your best to avoid that. Get out there the day before and just try to find some sight lines and try to swim as straight as possible with your form. And that's the swim, believe it or not. It's not super technical, aside from these little corrals that we have at the bottom of our swim, and actually for the last half of our swim, right? The fastest swimmers here are going to be the ones that are the best sighters and the ones that know themselves the best, swimming the straightest lines. If you find a really confident swimmer, my advice to you is to just stick with them. If they're a little bit faster and they pull you along, even better. What is probably going to happen on a course like this is you're going to find yourself alone more than usual because of that zigzagging that is going to be natural. Watch out for the support staff pushing you further in, right? When that happens, those zigzags will become more and more prevalent. Swim course rules located on page 18 talk about wetsuit rules and some other specific swim rules that you should check out. This is our bike course. Again, another one loop course, a very unique course again here. So let's dive in to some specifics on the bike. First of all, this is our bike course. This is our GPS. Mapped out for us so we know exactly what the elevation is going to be and what the terrain is going to be somewhat here. We also have our bike software here that tells us exactly what kind of power output to do. And if we take away our speed and the elevation profile here, you can see that it is pretty consistent for a longer distance race with some things mixed in there. Bringing back the elevation, when you do that, you can naturally see what is happening out on the race course. So, in our athlete guide, I'm going to go down to their elevation profile and talk about some things really quickly. So just off of a general standpoint, we have a slight incline over here, which means that you have the potential to go faster here. And at this course, you should go a little bit faster out of the gate. You should naturally be able to do so anyways, but huge red flag here, you don't want to totally overdo it. Go fast, but with as little effort as possible. Then we have a downward section for about 10 miles here. Again, the goal is to go fast, but not totally overdo it. Once you get to this about 15-mile marker here on their map, it is pretty much an uphill slog for a long time. We're talking about 15 miles, or excuse me, we're talking about 25-ish miles over here before we have a rolling downhill section to our finish line. That is just the basic kind of overview. So now we can kind of dive in a little bit more, get a little more nitty gritty out on our elevation profiles here. So this is our first 6 miles. In here we have about 220 feet of our 2,400 feet of elevation gain. Because of that, again, it's obviously not a lot, right? But it is enough to kind of warrant some red flags over here. We have about a 3% in that first mile over here. Going back to this big hill again, another 3% hill, and that is pretty much it for the super steep stuff. So if I were you for these first couple of miles, I would just get up this hill. I would use this as kind of a springboard for that first mile. Get your legs ready to rock and roll. Get your fuel in beforehand. Use this as an opportunity to just really start, not hammering, but, it's really working. After that point, we have another 3-mile hill right here, and I would not totally push that hill. Again, your power is going to naturally be higher, but it shouldn't be an opportunity for you to go full Pogacar out there, After this point, mile 3.5 here, you've gotten to the top of this hill or the top of the steeper stuff. And again, this is going to be where you kind of just start to sit in here and start to race your race. Because at mile 6 here, we have... I'll split it up again into this. We have about 62 feet of elevation gain, 530 feet of elevation loss. So this should naturally be a faster section out on course, this blue highlighted section here. Again, you're going to have to be careful about chasing the watts and just to chase them. If you're a naturally 20-mile-an-hour rider, 22, 24 miles an hour down the hills, if you find yourself going 27 for an extended period of time, why push to 28 or 29 if you have to go an extra 100 watts to do so? You know, the people that are going to be successful here are going to be the people that keep working but within their limits, because after we get past mile 14 out on the ride, just from a course standpoint, this is the next big section out on course. This is a 27-mile section here that has 1,600 feet of our 2,400. So this is obviously the meat and potatoes out on course here. And this, because the way the course is set up the way it is set up, it has the potential to kind of lure you in and totally train wreck your day. This first little section here is just a gradual slope here, and it just slowly eats away at you. And yes, you can totally crush this section, and truth be told, your speed should naturally be a little bit higher here. We're in a race situation, but again, you need to control it, okay? Because this is just a precursor going up to the real stuff up here. But if you totally ignore that for, let's call it 8 miles over here, if you ignore that, that's a long time to ignore it. So when the pressure really hits, you know, you're not going to be able to respond at all. So you want to arrive at mile 23, 23 and a half, really ready to work, okay? Because for the next little bit here, you are working, right? And again, this little 17.5-mile stretch, 1,300 feet of elevation gain happens here. During this section here, this is going to be some of the steeper parts out on course. We have a 6%, 7% mixed in. We also have a couple of 10.5%ers mixed in. This next bigger hill that we will be experiencing out on course, it tops out at about 6.5%, 7% in a couple of places. Moving onwards, we have about another 6% after that. So you can see it starts to really eat at you. But the unique part of this course is these hills happen, and then there's a lull, or let's call it a little plateau. It's always a false flat on this course, but this is an opportunity for you to really keep the pressure on. So if you use this as a springboard, right, you can stay within yourself. You're obviously going to be going a little bit harder. You're going uphill, of course, but then this section afterwards, right, that's an easy time save off of a lot of athletes, right? A lot of athletes are going to climb this hill and recover for about, you know, half a mile. And if you are continuously turning the pedals, having the pressure on the pedals, all that good stuff, you're going to naturally start to slip away from some people, just naturally. And then the next hill comes, and you just want to keep the same thing happening on this next one. Ride the downhills to go up these uphills, right? Once you get to the top here, it's the same thing again at mile 33.2. You're going to want to keep the pressure on the pedals, and I don't mean full-time trial mode. We're not going 100%. Right, but we're going our targets over here, and we're just continuously putting that power out over here. So now the last big section out on course over here, we do have 560 feet, and we also have 1,000 feet of elevation loss. So this is going to be a point in time that's another easy time save off a lot of athletes. A lot of athletes are really going to bomb this. I'm going to tell you to kind of hold it back just a little bit. You're not going full downhill mode here, but you are going fast, absolutely, right? Some of these kickers that are going to happen, you're naturally going to fly over them, and that's totally fine. But the reason you want to keep the pressure on the pedals is to allow your body to keep working and set yourself up for a great run. A lot of people, you're going to see a lot of tucks out here. You're going to see a lot of incredible things that are not triathlon related, and kind of let those people do their thing. A lot of those people that stay in their tucks for a mile, you know, that's not going to be good, you know. So you want to keep the legs moving a little bit, and again, you're going to want to do the same thing as the first part of our race, where I talked about, you know, chasing the unnecessary watts to go that extra half a mile an hour. You know, if you're already going 5-6 miles an hour faster than you normally do, is it really worth chasing those other 30-40 watts to go half a mile an hour faster? That is a question that you have to answer for yourself on race day. In my opinion, it is not on this bike course. Another unique thing here, mile 53. Remember, we've got 3 more miles to go here. 53, we do reach a little valley over here, a little flatter section, and we do actually end up climbing a little bit right through here, and we have a 5% climb at mile 54. Right, so the ride isn't totally done, but after this, the most of the elevation you're going to experience on course is done here, so that is great. But you don't want to use this hill as a giant stamp on the course. Okay, you want to get up this hill, but you don't want to totally crush your legs to do it because we have a run coming up. Going back to our best bike split software here, you can see that our speed really matches up well with our power on this course. And again, a lot of flat sections where you're just kind of holding the power. Obviously, these hills, you're going to spike some of these other efforts. So this athlete's going to be holding about 285 watts. And on these hills, right, we are experiencing 360 watts. But again, it's not for a long duration. And you can see here, once these hills end, he's going right back to that power, and that's going to be where you save a lot of time. Going to the time analysis here, if we wanted to increase the power 5% here, this is exactly what you need to do to save a whopping 3 minutes for a 5% increase of power. I always talk about it. You really want to focus on some of these skinnier sections here. This segment is 3 minutes and 30 seconds for a 10-second gain. I'm more interested in stuff like this, adding up over time. This segment is a minute long, and it will save you 3.4 seconds. And you chase enough of those that are easier to do on course, and you will experience some of that. Again, this major section right here, if you wanted to save 17 seconds, go 5% harder, but you're going to have to do it for 14 minutes. Do not do it there. That is the worst place to do it and where most people are going to do it on course. So please, 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 please do not do that. Typically, the wind is traveling north to south on a course like this, so it will make the front of our course, the beginning, it's a better word, a little bit more challenging as well, just from a holding back standpoint. Okay, you are going to have a tailwind, or at least theoretically, you are going to have a tailwind on the way out of town. But after that, it's pretty much a cross or a headwind for the majority of the day afterwards. All right, hold back, expect a fast explosion on the way out, but again, do it within your limits. Okay. And as you start to make your way around this course, after that, you're going to have a crosswind from the right, a little bit of a tailwind right here at mile 15, but that doesn't last for very long because we continuously turn after that. Once we do have a crosswind coming from the dirty side of our bike from this turnaround point. If we reset this, from our turnaround point that happens right here, perfect time to do it right at the top of a little incline, turn around, we get a little bit of a downhill before we climb up. It's exactly what we want. On the back side of this course, right through here, again, you're going to have a crosswind, theoretically, coming from the clean side of the bike. So that is, again, exactly what we want with our crosswinds before we start to turn around over here where we will have a headwind coming on this back section right through here. Crosswind during this section here is going to come from the dirty side of the bike, from our chainring side. And again, this is a downhill portion, so it's not too concerning. But again, if it's really, really gusty out there, be prepared for you to slide over to the left-hand side of the road. Watch out for people there. If it is gusty, you might want to give them a little bit of extra space, but obviously don't cross that center line or bad things are going to happen. Then when we make that right-hand turn at the going to the top of our course or towards our finish, we are going to have a headwind, which is going to make this section a little bit more difficult as well. Before we make our left-hand turn, we start heading down, and again, it's coming from the right side of our bike. So again, it's going to catch a little bit more, and just be prepared for that. Fueling during these sections are going to be in our wind protocol. So if the wind is coming from the right-hand side, you are going to want to take the right-hand side of your right arm off of your bike to fuel so you can stabilize with the left. If it's coming from the other side, obviously the other side. Bike course rules are listed on page 24. We have a 12-meter long draft zone. You have 25 seconds to overtake. Remember that if the athlete coming up behind you over or passes your front wheel, you do have to let them pass. Failure to do that, and you will get a blocking violation. All right. Um, Also, you might get a blocking penalty if you surge when someone else is passing on you. But again, that rule is not enforced a lot of times. Page 25, again, there are more rules over there. Cycling with a bare torso is prohibited. Um, and as we scroll down here to our run course, which is located on page 31, we do also have a unique thing that happens on this course, which is a one-loop run course. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome, guys. Big thing that I note when I look at this course here before we dive into elevation and things like that is our first water stop. It happens after the first mile. So what you should be looking for is some stuff in transition. If there is none, and you talk to the race briefing people, you look at the maps at the race site for the transition area, and you know that there's nothing happening in transition for you. There's no liquids available for you, which I doubt. You do want to top yourself off for the last couple of miles on the bike, okay? Make sure you're cooling yourself off, all that good stuff. And again, if there is stuff available in the transition area, you're going to want to hit that before you go out. Why wait if you do not have to, all right? So after we talked about that, this is our run course, which I will zoom out for you again. We're going to start off again with a little bit of a unique thing on a course like this. We do have downhill coming out of our transition, which is great to see. Again, super unique, and we'll do this on the Ironman one first. If I can get my computer working. The first little section here is a net downhill. We will have a little bit of elevation mixed into here, but what you really want to do is allow your body to get working here, and because this is a net downhill, you're going to be able to do that at a faster pace. Again, just like the bike, do not chase the speed here. Do not do it. Do not do it. What will happen is you're going to see athletes flying out of the gate here, and it's just because of the terrain. It sets them up for failure, and it's not everyone's fault, but you need to make yourself aware of it so you can succeed out here. Because after this 2-mile marker, we are climbing. We do only have 480 feet of elevation gain, and much of that comes here and here. So this is our first key to the course on the run right through here. You're going to want to set yourself up for success on this section, and that happens in these first 2 miles. Fuel here, we also want to get our legs working by not forcing the first couple of miles. And when we do get past this point up through here, this section is going to be where we start to put the stamp out on our course. After that, once we reach the turnaround, we are turning back here. There is an extra mile on the way back because we do have an extra turnaround. And this is a net downhill here. We do have some hills in here, so it's not all happy days on the way back in. Okay, so be ready to work. Again, this is going to be another kind of key section 2-ish, 1.2 area out on course. You do want to go fast, but avoid the excess chasing of the pace. Once you get to these little kickers here, almost always it gets people right there, and they start to experience some cramps. This is where they set themselves up for some not so fun cramps and things like that. After that, the next big area on course is this section over here. You should be running how you want to here, because after that we have a kicker here, and that is the race finish. So looking at our run through here, this is a little bit more detailed of an elevation gain here. So the second big, or the first big key area that we highlighted out here, from our first turn out through here all the way to our first turnaround right through here of our 600 miles, we only have 300 feet of elevation gain. Here, average gradient is just under 1%, so you are going to experience some hills right through here. 7.5% right there, 5.46% there, and again, this goes up to, I believe, 4%? Yeah, right through there. So these hills are going to bite a little bit more than you want them to, which is why this is the big key to the course out through here. And the survivors, or the people that get up to here with some stuff left in the tank, are going to be the ones that are going to try to push the pace here, and you should, right? You should absolutely do that, but you need to watch your running form because this is a net downhill. Average grade of almost -1. You're you need to watch that running form. Make sure your legs are landing underneath you. Make sure they're not sliding out in front of you. All of that good stuff. Watch your arms, and you want to try to run as naturally as possible during this section. People that force the pace and forget all of the form are going to pay for it, usually right in this area over here. Now, once we zoom out and we hit the last big section out on course here, again, 180 feet of elevation of our 600. So again, no throwaway section at all. Climbing back into the transition area. This is going to be where we experience some of the bigger hills on course. And again, 6.57 is going to be kind of the max gradient in this section right here. And it happens all before 11.5 miles on course. After that, you should be pretty happy days after that. 2.5% up to the line there where it starts to cool off. And again, that is your 70.3 Washington run. So going back to our athlete guide, that is pretty much, that's all that's in there. We have some run course rules, which are on page 34. And overall rules are on page 37. Divisional breakdowns are on page 39, and you can keep reading after that. With the last big page that I will tell you is page 42, a list of the violations right there. So the last big thing that you should do is check out where the penalty tent is on the bike course. Okay, if there is not one, it's usually in the transition area. So make sure you do ask that question on when you do check in at your race briefing. So that is the race breakdown for everyone. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, and I'll be happy to answer them. Again, if you have any coaching needs, please reach out to me as well. Always happy to help everyone through these things, and good luck to everyone racing this year at the 2023 edition.